What's up? All right, so homeboy asked me a question. He says, Seth, SR-9009, does it boost the immune system? And my original thought was, no, it more corrects the immune system by speeding up cellular reproduction. But every now and then says, hey, I need to do a little studying to make sure I'm absolutely el correcto. And in doing so, I found something quite interesting. This is the pharmacological activation of the circadian component REVERB inhibits HIV-1 replication. Now, this speeds up cellular reproduction in the liver, the muscle, and the bone. So to break that down, speeding up cellular reproduction in the body gives energy to the cell. When we give energy to the cell, what that does essentially is speeds everything up. It's like taking your clock and putting it on fast forward. So you have not shorter days per se, but you have ability to do more in that day by giving energy into the cell. It does not necessarily increase aging. It would necessarily give energy to the whatever it's speeding up. It's speeding up the amount of energy in each day. Now, it is replicating cells more quickly, but it replicates them with better integrity. Now, I'm taking information now from the BioRxiv preprint. I'll have to show you the thing to it. But if you just type in pharmacological activation of the circadian component, REVERB, inhibits HIV-1 replication. The information is coming from there, and I'm going to give you an overview because these things are pretty damn long. But basically, the first part of it is nullified Department of Clinical Medicine. This is Oxford Institute of Immunology and Immunotherapy, University of Birmingham. That's the UK. Both of these are UK. Sir William Dunn School of Pathology in Oxford. Shared first authorship, corresponding author. You'll have to get it off there. All right. What they found in what I got from reading this a couple times is where they cannot help patients that have HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, which is autoimmune deficiency syndrome. This particular compound, which they used SR-9009 and its copart from, which is a REVERB agonist, it inhibited the activity of different HIV subtypes and replication in primary T cells. The study shows the role of the ERB synthetic ligand to inhibit HIV-1 LTR promoter activity and viral replication. It actually inhibits the replication of the virus and supporting a role of the circadian clock transcription factors. It does this in a really cool way. All life forms have evolved under the rhythmic changing light-dark cycle due to the Earth's rotation. From bacteria to man, all organisms possess an internal clock that oscillates in 24-hour manner to anticipate environmental changes. The central clock and peripheral oscillators share a common modulator, molecular architecture, and consist of transcriptional translation feedback loops that regulate rhythmic gene expression. In mammals, clock and CLOCK and BMAL1 dimerize, and the complex can bind E-box Moffats in the promoter enhancer of various clock genes, including PER and CRY, PER and CRY, to activate their transcription. In turn, the PER and CRY proteins repress clock and BMAL1 function and thereby shut down their own transcription. An additional feedback loop involves the nuclear receptors REVRBA and RORA. RORA competes with ERVERBA for binding to the BMAL1 promoter ROR element site and activates BMAL1 transcription. REVERBA and ROR coordinate a regulatory loop which is crucial for stabilization of the core clock machinery. The circadian system is recognized to play a role in regulating the host's innate and adaptive immune response to microbial pathogens. A host's susceptibility to an infectious agent is not only dependent on the inoculum size, transmission route, and length of exposure, but on the time of day when the pathogen is encountered. Recent clinical studies show that the time of vaccination can influence the host immune responses and vaccine efficacy. Viruses are obligate parasites that rely on host cell synthesis machinery for their replication, survival, and dismantling. The potential of circadian pathways to regulate viral infection is an emerging research field. We recently reported the role of the REVERB to regulate flavirus replication and particle assembly, including hepatitis C virus, Digenue virus, and Zika virus. Human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, is the analogic agent of AIDS, or its precursor, one of the most devastating viral pandemics. Current therapies suppress HIV-1 replication and prevent development of AIDS, but do not eradicate infection altogether. HIV-1 establishes latent sites of infection that promote viral persistence and evasion of the host immune responses and antiviral therapies. HIV-1 primarily replicates in the CD4 T cells and macrophages, which display intrinsic rhythms of clock genes and cytokine expression. Despite reports of disrupted circadian rhythms in HIV-1 infected patients, there is limited evidence supporting the direct role for the circadian components in the regulating of HIV-1 replication. The HIV-1 long terminal repeat promoter encodes regulatory elements that bind viral and cellular transactivating factors that regulate its activity, demonstrating the innate dependency of the virus on host cell components to replicate. Chang et al. recently reported that BMAL1 positively regulates that HIV-1 LTR activity through the E-box Moffats therein. REVERBA and BAB are members of the nuclear hormone receptor family that are involved in molecular clock circuits. Okay, let's see. We're not going to, I could go further into this, but it's going to get really, really weird at this point. So let's get to Okay, these compounds are useful tools for examining circadian modulation and its effect on HIV-1. And the paper will show the synthetic ligands inhibit promoter activity of the viral replication, supporting the role for circadian clock transcription factors in regulating HIV-1 replication. Now, it goes on to say the results of this. It's important to know. Okay. I'm trying to get to the point here without having to go in depth reading this. Basically, what they found is by altering the SR-9009 by an SR-8278. All right, both of these have been shown to stop virus by no longer allowing it to rely on or to mimic the pattern of circadian rhythms. Basically meaning whenever the virus relies on us and our circadian rhythm to keep adapting to therapies, if you throw off the night-day clock, then what happens with the virus is it cannot mimic us anymore, making it vulnerable to other therapies. But also, our immune system can more easily identify these viruses, which in turn means you have a better chance of overcoming the virus, allowing the immune system to boost back up and allowing the antiviral medications to do their job. This is not only with HIV, I would imagine. I imagine this is with all viral infections, because all virus relies on the internal clock to be the same, so that those steady points it does not have to think about, but it's kind of like you don't have to think about your heart beating, right? If you relied on something else for your heartbeat, like the rising and falling of the sun, or you relied on, better yet, an animal that you were the parasite to, then what would happen is if they throw their heartbeat off, then you all of a sudden have to think about and regulate your own heartbeat, taking you away from your primary job of survival, thereby making you vulnerable for attack because you're not paying attention anymore. That's the most basic way I can put this. The amazing potential of this would extend not only to HIV, but hepatitis C, also to, what do you call them? Virus, like coronavirus, or they've already been studying it for the Zika virus and others. Anytime you can force an unwanted organism, parasite in the body to work harder, taking it off of its primary job, which is obviously killing you, then you make it vulnerable to attack by your immune system or anything else you use. The cool thing about this is this compound strengthens the integrity of the liver, which is the filter. It speeds up cellular reproduction, giving an anti-inflammatory secondary effect, causing or making able the body to heal more quickly, and thereby making the individual more healthy all the way around. Now, this is from other studies I've read. Now, that was purely from me reading many studies on this stuff because it's one of my favorite compounds in the world. It says further analysis of these HIV-1 subtypes revealed additional conserved circadian regulatory elements in the LTR region, including the ERV-ERB binding site, ROR motif, and the glucocorticoid response element. Cortisol production and secretion is tightly regulated by the circadian system and coordinates the synchronization of the clock genes in peripheral tissues. These data suggest a possibility where HIV-1 replication may be synchronized in their reservoir cells at the certain time of day. A recent study demonstrated a physical interaction of glucocorticoid receptor with REV-ERBA and the liver, providing an alternative mechanism for REV-ERB to regulate HIV-1 replication. Finally, we addressed the impact of SR-9009 on the replication of an infectious virus in primary cells over time. Activated CD8 depleted peripheral blood mononuclear cells from HIV seronegative individuals were infected with a patient-derived subtype B virus and cultured in medium with or without SR-9009 for 10 days. Reading out extracellular levels of P24 capsid antigen as a measure of viral replication and serial post-infection time points. While there was no impact on the cell viability, SR-9009 substantially reduced HIV-1 replication in the system with a statistically significant difference in secreted P24 antigen levels observed by day 10 post-infection. Our analysis of the e-box affected by the host, circadian rhythm. All right, it says here now, in contrast, all right. So the HIV-1 may have evolved to adapt to its host rhythm by time of day dependent on productive replication to avoid host immune responses and to maximize viral persistence. Nevertheless, our simplistic model system only demonstrated one aspect of the circadian regulation of the HIV, which may underrepresent the circadian impact if studied in a whole organism, which warrants further investigation. Our study highlights a novel and exciting area of HIV research and provides a rational future work to identify novel circadian modulations with antiviral properties that may have potential to augment existing antiviral regimens. Current therapeutically used combination antiviral or antiretroviral therapies effectively inhibit HIV-1 replication and delay progression of the disease. However, viral resistance to antiviral agents can undermine their efficacy instead of targeting the virus. The REV-ERB ligands target an intrinsic host pathway, which is entirely different to the direct antiviral activity of the agents currently employed to block HIV-1 replication. REV-ERB agonists may provide an additional drug class and adjuvants, or to use it with, or to aid in current combination therapy, especially in cases where there is a persistent low-level viremia, or in patients where multi-class antiretroviral resistance is an obstacle to effective combination therapy. Moreover, the REV-ERB agonist could have potentially potential utility in shock and kill HIV eradication strategies, as targeting the pathway may lead to fewer side effects than the antigens currently being investigated in this approach. Okay, then it goes into methods. It also lines out in here stabilized insulin. It lines out in here that the toxicity is not a factor with this as opposed to with other therapies. This is some cool stuff in that one other way. Now, I've already been over, if the videos are still up, SR-9009's ability to positively affect autoimmune disorders. It acts as a inflammatory disruptor, or to reduce inflammation by increasing the rate at which someone heals. By throwing off the circadian rhythm, though, it makes bacteria, probably, but definitely virus, more susceptible to your immune system to be able to kill and do its job properly. So essentially, it's not an immune booster, as the original question was asked, but it is more of a cofactor in promoting better immunity by throwing the virus out of its homeostasis that it relies on your body for, thereby making your body able to kill what it could not kill before. That is the potential effect of SR-9009 as one more cofactor and amazing element of this compound. Not to mention, it reduces cortisol, as shown in this study. And cortisol being the stress hormone that causes you not to be able to gain muscle or actually eats your freaking muscle. Cortisol is one of the most damning things to the anabolic aspect of bodybuilding. The stress you're under causes you to not be able to build bigger muscle. So reducing stress hormone causes you to be able to, in studies, theoretically, lose body fat and increase muscle mass. And by the way, SR-9009 is not for human consumption. It's a research chemical only to be used by researchers for research purposes in research laboratories or with your doctor's instruction. These research chemicals are not made to be eaten. They're not made to be snorted. They're not made to be banged. They're not made to be insulfolated or used as procreation aids. These chemicals have the potential to do bodily harm. And they have not been evaluated. Well, yeah, they have been evaluated by the FDA. It's the natural products I speak of have not been evaluated by the FDA, the ATF, NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN. They are not covered by Geico, and your mother-in-law should never use them. But the supplements that we speak of, like IS-3 that boosts killer T and macrophage activity, or MPS, that has been shown to correct the immune system so as to help with autoimmune disorders, possibly. Those have not been evaluated by the FDA, the ATF, NBC, ABC, or CBS. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, or prevent or cure any disease. What they are is raw materials necessary to rebuild at cellular level and giving the body the opportunity, then speeding up cellular reproduction with something like SR-9009 one day may be the most amazing thing at building muscle, reducing body fat, and strengthening the integrity of the entire body, thereby healing and correcting disease, which means you're probably never going to see them used. Unfortunately, our medical profession is not into curing disease, but prolonging your sickness to keep you in treatment forever. Personally, I know of a few people that their doctor made this okay for them to try, and I have watched this along with MPS 200X completely reverse lupus and Crohn's, according to the people that told me. Now, that could have been a coincidence. I mean, hell, that shit could have just happened by chance. But they no longer take their chemotherapy medications because their doctor took them off of them. Now, how you explain that, I don't know. Maybe they changed their diet, or maybe it was by happenstance, or maybe it was God himself that came down and did it. But this is what they told me. So you can take that as a grain of salt from a redneck in Alabama that don't know what the hell he's talking about. But those are the personal accounts of more than a couple of people. And I'll tell you this much. I may never tell you all that I believe, but I will never tell you that which I do not believe. And I'm here to serve you. Newsarms.com is a research chemical provider that provides these research chemicals to researchers to do research. If you're a researcher, it might be a good idea to go check that out. But if you're a human, you can't take these until the FDA gives you leave, because they know that we're not smart enough to make our own decisions about anything. I mean, God knows we wouldn't want them to, well, we wouldn't want to take a chance on getting better, even though that President Trump passed the Right to Try Act, which means if you have a terminal illness, you have the right to try any damn research chemical you damn well please, and can't nobody tell you different. I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, and he's also the one that made the FDA speed up things so that you could get a cure for something like the coronavirus, which, what does that mean? That means that they must be really damn slow. All right, I've talked enough. Like, that was way longer than I intended to go. I'll try to shorten that up one day, but that day is not today because I'm going to go play with gravity.